And when it came to the sounds, then because Piss Off was already made years before, so did that affect the way the rest of the music would sound?
No, quite the opposite. In fact, we didn't really think about Piss Off much until later on in the writing process. So we started exchanging songs later on, and then we sort of looked back and went, oh, hang on, remember Piss Off? We should bring that one back into the fold as well. And so we approached it in a fresh way. Throughout the whole of this process, we have not tried to look to the past at all. We didn't want to repeat anything from either of our previous careers in either band. We wanted to make a new entity with a new sound and to look forward. And I guess that was even with the case for Piss Off as well. Like we were too busy concentrating on what we were writing next rather than worrying about the past.
Is that a difficult thing? And this is for all of you. Is this a difficult thing to do because you have a certain way of doing things and you have a certain sound that goes through your head?
Well, I mean, one of the impetuses of doing this project was to kind of kind of break out of our usual ways of working, and obviously this is a really extreme way of breaking out. It's much more than bringing in a new producer or whatever it would be. So I think both bands have that desire to leave the comfort area of how you're working and work in kind of an unknown sort of way, in every way. I mean, both recording wise, well, writing wise, recording wise, and in a live setting.
And both bands had this approach to music in a sense all over your career. So is this what keeps the motivation going?
That's what, yeah. It's what keeps you fresh and keeps you alive. Definitely, you know. I think once you try and start repeating your past, that's when you stagnate, and it's like the shark staying still in the water. That's when you suffocate. You know.
When do you know then? This might be a terrible question to answer, but when do you know then when you're on the right path? For instance, with this project, when did you know you were on the? Was it that song we just?
It's instinctive. You know, you just feel that you're going in the right direction, but also the trick is not to think about it too much either and just get on with it. You know, and I think if we'd spent our whole time discussing what we intended to do rather than actually doing it, we wouldn't have ended up getting anything done.
So were there initially some conversations about thematically or
no, nothing at all?
We've never had those, and we still haven't had them. Maybe we should have them, but we haven't had them. And even on the live area, I mean, there are kind of logistical things that we need to discuss about the live situation, but we've never had kind of philosophical discussions about writing or what everything means or any of those kind of things, because we kind of worked from the bottom up. We kind of worked from songs, and then it became an album, and then it became this new entity band, and then it became a live act as well. So the philosophy, we've never had time to have the philosophy kind of catch up with just the music.
And we're fortunate, we think, that even though there wasn't any discussions per se or any philosophy behind, well, what is this album going to mean, that in retrospect the whole album does sound like a unified body of work, and it almost sounds like we did methodically handpick certain types of songs or whatever to make it have a cohesive in entirety, but in fact we didn't, and it's just kind of after the fact that when we hear it, we go, it all makes sense in a certain way, and we were fortunate that I guess all of our instincts were right as we were in the creative process.
In hindsight, then, do you know why this turned out the way it did, or is it?
I mean, it's actually just everybody being really passionate about wanting to make this work and wanting to kind of almost prove a point, and because the concept of these two bands joining together to form a new entity, it's a concept that at first is maybe intriguing to the public, saying, wow, what could that be? But if it hadn't been backed up by really what we think is really solid music, then it would be hollow and the whole thing would fall flat on its face. But the thing that's made it be just for us just so rewarding is that we think that we've managed to achieve, you know, something really special musically, and then it just enhances the whole thing about these two bands working together, and it's a new entity. And by the way, the music's also really good too.
Right. So and then when you, after the writing was completed and you went into the studio, what was that first session like, playing together?
It felt very exciting because the way we recorded as well was as a complete band. It was all 6 of us in a room together performing simultaneously, and so while we had this long period of preparation, the actual execution of the album was very short. We did it in 15 days, and because we chose to record in that way, you had to be spontaneous. You couldn't overthink things, and it also brings a certain energy to it as well. Like there's a definite energy that you feel on this record that probably comes about through that approach. And it felt exciting. God damn, it felt great because we were hearing it for the first time as well. And so this is cool. I'm loving this.
And was it then that everything also, what you mentioned earlier about the voices fitting together, that then everything gelled as well, or?
Well, we had
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 the audio sense.
We had the rehearsal period the week before, but even on in the writing process, we were getting pretty good hints of how the voices were going to work, because having two bands with such individual and kind of really identifiable vocalists is something that wouldn't necessarily work when they're brought together, but it was something that really seemed to work in some kind of way. It's hard to describe even how it works, but it was something though that we knew earlier. It's just when you hear it in the studio, it's like, well, that really works, as opposed to that works.
We wanted to try to figure out a way too to not have it be discrete songs with one singer, and then the next song is the other singer, and then the next song it shifts back to the other singer again. We wanted to make sure that try to figure a way, in any case, just that was woven into the songs, where it would allow for either Alex or myself to be singing one section of a song, then it immediately shifts gears and goes into the other singer singing, and then perhaps the next section will be both of us singing in unison to create another kind of texture to the song. And so we felt that we were kind of adding this extra element, almost another instrument to the sound, by having these two vocalists working, kind of interweaving the voices in all of the songs.
And there might not have been, you say 15 days, so there might not have been enough time for this, but did the songs change then a lot in the studio? Were the textures found in the studio?
Yes, of course. I mean, there was still space for experimentation sonically and in the arrangement, and also in the period of rehearsal before we went into the studio. Of course, we did work out parts and the way to play things, and so that was an important part of it. And also working with John as well, our producer. We felt we didn't want to be conservative in our approach to the sound of the record. We wanted to explore, and we wanted it to sound even beyond contemporary. We wanted it to sound something that's new. We didn't want it to sound like something else that's out at the moment. We wanted to get new sounds on there. So of course there had to be space in that period for trying new things. Unfortunately, John shared our attitude of working quickly, and there was no pissing around for too long trying to work things out. Some producers can't do that, spend 2 weeks working on a kick drum sound. Boring.
What was the song that changed most from the initial idea then to what ended up on the record?
Oh. I mean, songs went through different stages and evolved quite a lot. Like Call Girl, that evolved quite a lot over both the writing process and then the arrangement process, then the recording. Which other ones changed a lot?
Yeah, I mean, John had quite a bit of input on the stylization of the sound of Call Girl, so that changed quite a bit from the rehearsal stage. But in general, it was, there weren't great surprises other than just that, you know, we were really pleased with what was going on, and just the feel of the whole thing was something. We were just thrilled that the feel that we had had in the rehearsal hall was being passed on to the studio. It's not like a recording of a live situation, but that kind of a liveness is something that we think was captured on the record.
Yeah. And then, Ron, you mentioned the live show earlier. How much of a change is it from going from the studio to the live shows?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We've not played live yet.
Yeah.
We're starting this coming week to rehearse for the tour. We're touring rather extensively throughout the summer, and so the next thing to conquer is our live presentation. But it's going to be exciting because actually our first live show is going to be on a television live performance on television in England. So it's making us quickly have to come up to speed and do our first show. So it's exciting to do it for a bigger audience than even any one concert.
Okay, finally, because I think my time's running out, I'll start with you, Alex and Ron. What do you think is Russell's favorite song on the record?
Oh, right.
What is Russell's favorite?
Duh, it's so obvious. No, it's not.
Gosh.
I think his favorite song is "Collaborations Don't Work."
Yeah.
I'll accept
Is
that.
that
I'll
correct?
Correct. That's so weird. Out of 12 songs, the one he picked. Man, genius.
Well, we already know where that song came from, so I'll move over. Alex and Russell, what do you think Ron's song is? What is Ron's favorite song?
Do you think it? Well, I don't know. I can think of a few. Dictator Son.
Johnny Delusional.
Yeah, there we go.
My guess would be Johnny Delusional. I don't know. I'm just taking a stab.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
It just came into my head there, yeah. Yeah.
Where did the song come from?
Well,
what was the initial spark for the song?
Well, it was a kind of a strange situation because we had all the songs done, and that was kind of a late arrival, and I was a little concerned that maybe it was too late, and that the door was already shut to any new entries in the sweepstakes, but I really liked the song, and so fortunately everybody was open enough to say, okay, one more, and that became a part of the process.
Was it difficult then to fit in, because you mentioned there was a certain cohesion that you didn't intend, but there was? Did that play a role?
Every stage, like because all the songs on the record are quite different from each other, and Johnny Delusional is a great song, but it's in no way representative of all of the songs on the record, and so there is a cohesion there, but no one song. Because no one song is representative, it means that another song can come in and fit in quite easily.
Okay. Then finally, Ron and Russell, what do you think Alex's favorite song is?
I'll go with "Little Guy from the Suburbs."
I hate to be boring and pick the same song.
I like that song.
I wrote a line down, I think, from that song. I'm not sure now if it is that song, but no heroes, just those who care more for the legend than their life. Is that the right song?
Yeah.
Where did that sentence come from?
Well, it's kind of a bastardization of a confessional that there was a French gangster called Jacques Mazarin, and just before he was murdered, he recorded this message on a tape recorder for his girlfriend, where he was reconsidering his own life, and he was maybe a little disillusioned with this role of being a hero or anti-hero, this criminal anti-hero.